So here are some things that you maybe don't know about Brazil. First thing you should know about Brazil is Brazilian culture. You're probably heard about samba and football and basically the beaches. Please, I need to be saying that word right. Well, my English is not very good. I am starting to speak right now in English, and I don't have much experience with conversation. So please help me with that with your comments if you can. So here are some things you should know. Brazil culture is actually more diverse than it appears. Obviously, every country has more culture than the stereotypes, but it's worth to mention some things that people don't know about Brazil. Brazil have a very strong relationship with Japan. Japan is a country that came many visitors, many immigrants to Brazil, and Brazil loves them. And in the beginning, they were not so well treated, but they conquered the culture, and the Brazilians have a huge respect for them. And they send a lot of Brazilians to Japan, and some Japanese go back and forth. And this is a great relationship, and this is why this is one of the more interesting countries to Brazil. Also because there is this myth that Japan is the exactly opposite of Brazil in the globe. Like if you dig a tunnel and underground, you'll get in Japan. It's not precise as that, but is a funny thing that we think normally. Brazil have also a good relationship with Italian. In particular, we had a lot of immigrants from Italy, and these two cultures helped a lot in our cuisine, not only African cuisine, but also with those two cultures and the indigenous culture as well. This all mixed together, but we have a lot of pizza, and our pizza is very good, is very different from Italian pizza, is more diverse, and we put everything on it. We put lots of things. We don't care about what you put on the pizza. We like pizza, and we actually have lots of sushi as well. We have even pizza sushi, and we have this different Japanese food that actually Japanese say that is not exactly as they make, but we develop our own Japanese version of food, our own Italian version of food, and this is actually a very important aspect of Brazilian roots. And Brazilian culture was founded in the idea that we actually had no culture at all because we are a new country that was uh, part of Portugal. And then we need to create a culture. And then we create this idea of the indigenous that eat other people that had something Brazil, like the cannibals. We create a culture based on that concept. The concept is that we are starving for culture, so we eat others' culture, and this is how we develop Brazilian culture. And is interesting that today people say that Brazil is one of the countries with more diverse culture, but actually it started the opposite. We basically had no culture of our own, and we made it by mixing everything that we found, and that's how Brazil think. Is actually one cool aspect of Brazilian culture as well is that we created a myth focused on the indigenous. They are a hero in similarity with the idea of the hero of Europe that used to be this knight in shiny armor. This is a basics of European culture. This we developed the idea that the ideal of Brazilian hero is the indigenous, and that's why some books are about it. There are even books that mocks this idea that Brazil is heroic, and actually is not that heroic at all. Our culture, in fact, have lots of things associated with being a little bit uh, not so honest and very clever, but having, we call it jeitinho brasileiro, we call it a Brazilian little way or something like that. We have this aspect of our culture that is different from some other cultures. That is a idea that Brazilians are, I'm trying to remember the word, a little gangsta. They are a little not exactly trustworthy. They are smart fellows, but not so honest. And this is not great. I don't like this aspect at all of our culture, and I totally accept if you criticize it. Again, English. So, so we have this difficulty that we need to create a culture of honesty in our country, but actually is kind of hard. Our politicians doesn't help much with examples and stuff like that. But you probably don't know much about the other aspects of Brazilian culture. This, what I spoke right now, is like a superficial level. You maybe heard about places in Brazil, but you probably never heard about the Brazilian obsession with Chaves or Chavo del Oito, that is a series of comedy, very old actually right now, that used to pass on television, and that Brazilians simply watch it a lot, a lot, a lot. So if you are like in your 20s or more, you probably watch it a lot in your life, and you probably know a lot of the jokes and these characters of Chaves. They are in all our memes. They are in our culture in many aspects. We have even politicians that resembles like Chaves or Chapolin or on other characters, and this is very very strong. If you watch our culture of politicians, of, we call it, I think is city councilors in English, vereadores in Brazil. They start with some jokes and pretending to be famous characters. In fact, if you think about it, this is a very organic way of Brazilian having politics, and our politics politics is weird in this aspect. We have this famous guy that got elected saying, "Vote for me, worst can't be," or something like that, but in Portuguese. And this works a lot. And he was a clown, and he was a famous clown, and he was elected in that way. We have a lot of protest voters in Brazil, because Brazil, the vote is mandatory. So we have this relationship with with uh, with politics that is very messy. We have this question in politics that we have this not so great politicians and lots of corruption as well. Another aspect that you should know about Brazil is that Brazil is ruled basically by Rede Globo. Rede Globo is a left wing television channel, and it's very strong in Brazil, and basically have most of the audience, and receives money from the government, and they actually took out Bolsonaro. They keep fighting him, and he and saying that Lula was great and stuff like that, and they take and put presidents as they want. They are the big bosses of Brazil media, and it's very different, for example, for West America, because it doesn't have a right wing media for counterbalance, like Fox News says something, CNN says the opposite. It's not like that in Brazil. The focus is global. Now that's coming to CNN, and here CNN is a right wing compared to what we have now. Is for you have idea. By the way, I'm a right wing person. Basically, of course, I have some points to mention, and with time I will discuss them. But this will be basically a right wing channel. And Brazilian culture, come back into the subject, is very dependent on Rede Globo. Rede Globo puts the presidents and take out the presidents. They are the strongest in Brazil. They are the most powerful in Brazil, and they are losing power. They are losing audience, lots of audience, and that's great, in my opinion, because they have the control of society basically a lot, and they actually are part of the reason Brazil have a carnival, actually, because you probably don't know about that, but Brazil is actually very Christian, and evangelical Christian and Catholic Christian. Both of them are very strong in Brazil, and I am an evangelical, by the way. I am a theologist, by the way, and this will be a Christian based channel, by the way. And this is an aspect of Brazil that people don't understand. That people come to Brazil and see the carnival and think, wow, those people are crazy. They take out their clothes and stuff like that. And the actual aspect of Brazil is very, very, very more conservative. We are one of the countries that fights more abortion, and we fight to defend Christian based values, family, traditional family, and stuff like that. This is very strong in Brazil, and people don't know about it because it doesn't look like at all if you just watch the media that will come basically from Rede Globo. That actually lots of people hate Carnival in Brazil. Lots hate them. I think that most don't like Carnival, and we just enjoy having holidays like everybody else. But we don't like the party itself, especially because they used to mock Jesus and things of religion and those things, and they offend us very much. And this is a very messy situation because they make pagan gods and put them, and they get the money from Rede Globo to make the carnival to pass on TV, on the channel of Rede Globo, and Rede Globo gives them money to make those things that they use with a law called Rouanet to not pay taxes. Instead, they can incentivize culture, and they use to incentivize culture of Carnival on Brazil and not paying taxes, and then they pay the taxes basically to finance a show that they will pass on television for everybody else, and then they pass it through everybody else. What I am saying basically is that Rede Globo of television is one of the most anti-Christian entities in the entire world. In fact, if you are tired of hearing about Brazilian funk and all the garbage that is coming to music right now, and you think they are ruining music, they are ruining dancing and stuff like that, you can thank Hand Global for that, basically, because it was before a rare phenomenon. It was something of the, how it's called, uh, slums. It, in funk was not a very famous dancing. It wasn't very popular, but Rede Globo turned it into a product and sold to Brazil, and then from Brazil to the world, this culture spread like a virus, and the world culture that doesn't think very well, of course, and they are bad influenced by us with carnival and funk. So you can say that Brazil is basically one of the sinful nation in the world, and is all connected to Rede Globo. It is all connected with this entity that actually is incentivizing those pagan idols and pagan rituals, and actually mocking Jesus, and with all of that garbage of carnival. And if you think that carnival is beautiful, no, it's not. It's really a religious sacrilege, and actually is very offensive. I can understand that you can be mistaken by the visual aspect of it, but the visual aspect is misleading and is a horrible trap, and actually destroys a lot of marriages, destroy lots of families here in Brazil, comes lots of abortions after it, and lots of people on drugs and something else like that. And it's very messy, and this is a particular problem of Brazil. You can say that is very strong, this problem in Brazil, because Brazil is controlled basically the politics and the culture by Rede Globo. And basically what the church does is trying to undo what Rede Globo does every single day. And this is a very messy situation. So if you want to pray about something, pray about the end of Rede Globo. That would help the world a lot. Of course, the internet has its problems as well, so we can pray about a lot of other subjects and talk about a lot of other subjects, but you should know about the fact that Rede Globo is the source, the primary source, the biggest source. Maybe not primarily, I said, but the biggest source in the world of paganism and this messy culture based on carnival that we are living right now. And you should know that Brazil have a lot of other aspects in our culture as well. I could mention that we have this this comic book that was very famous back then, that is Monica's Gang, and is actually also a cartoon. There are movies about it. It's a very famous series, and this is actually very good to understand more Brazilian culture. And now here I am living the aspect of Rede Globo that is a very evil thing to say something nicer. But if you want to understand actually the indigenous pagan symbols and the actually the Brazilian aspect of how they see uh, lots of cultures aspects, lots of how they see bullying, why they are so uh, joyful. They part of it is this comic book and this comic book series and the Brazilian culture. It's very deep on that comic book series. It's created by Mauricio de Souza. If you want to go even deeper in Brazilian culture, you could search about the Sítio do Pica-Pau Amarelo, that is an other aspect of our culture, a little bit older, that is not very influential right now, but that is actually a kid's tale as well, that was relatively famous in Brazil. Another aspect of Brazil that you probably don't know that Brazil actually fought into Second World War, and Brazil have this war. They didn't want to go to war at all, and they said, "You know when Brazil is going to the war only when the snake smoke." That was the expression that we used to say to like never, something like when pigs fly or something in other languages or culture, maybe culture. And we used to say this expression, and then Brazil end up going to the war. So we start saying that now the snake is going to smoke, and this sentence means to this day, now things are going to get ugly. Now things are going to get ugly, and this is when we say in Brazil that we have a problem to solve it, and this is a situation that Brazil have actually when they want to say about their problems. And we end up winning the war, of course. And actually, I also pretend to speak more about capitalism in this channel. I pretend to speak maybe a little bit about the war in Ukraine and stuff like that. So this is basically what I had to say about Brazilian culture, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you leave a comment. You say what should I be better or something like that, and maybe you can subscribe and maybe we can talk more. Bye.